In breaking news and an update, we've got the actual indictment against Leticia James, the New York Attorney General, by Donald Trump's Department of Justice, particularly his hand-picked prosecutor, Lindsay Halligan. And it's worse than we thought. And the dirty little hands of Bill Pulte, the Nepo baby who heads up Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac for Donald Trump, is all over. It reeks of Bill Pulteism. And I'm going to tell you why that's a good thing for Leticia James, who's fighting back. She's not sitting around waiting. She's already issued her video and told the world, these 2 counts of purported mortgage fraud where she's alleged to get ready for all this, people. We're going to be spending tens of millions of dollars to prosecute Leticia James because she allegedly took $18,000 benefit over 30 years in a mortgage, because she bought a home in Virginia and she declared it to be her second home when it's really her rental property. So she got a cut in the amount of the interest rate, which over time totals $18,000. Does it have to do with that? Or does it have to do with the fact that Leticia James was successful in bringing a $465 million judgment against Donald Trump civilly for fraud? You be the judge. But you're here on the MeidasTouch Network. I'm Michael Popok and Legal AF. Let's hear from Leticia James.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding, all because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General. These charges are baseless. And the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution at any cost. The president's actions are a grave violation of our constitutional order and have drawn sharp criticism from members of both parties. His decision to fire a United States attorney who refused to bring charges against me and replace them with someone who is blindly loyal not to the law, but to the president, is antithetical to the bedrock principles of our country. This is the time for leaders on both sides of the aisle to speak out against this blatant perversion of our system of justice. I stand strongly behind my office's litigation against the Trump Organization. We conducted a 2-year investigation based on the facts and evidence, not politics. Judges have upheld the trial court's finding that Donald Trump, his company, and his 2 sons are liable for fraud. I'm a proud woman of faith, and I know that faith and fear cannot share the same space. And so today, I'm not fearful. I'm fearless. And as my faith teaches me, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. We will fight these baseless charges aggressively, and my office will continue to fiercely protect New Yorkers and their rights. And I will continue to do my job.
All right, I've had time now to go through the indictment. Lindsay Halligan is the only one to have signed it. There it is. There's her John Hancock. Lindsay Halligan, United States Attorney. Are you? Because one of the first moves I'm sure Abby Lowell, the lawyer for Leticia James, is going to make is to move to dismiss and to disqualify Lindsay Halligan as an illegally appointed U.S. attorney. But that is for another hot take. Let's look at this first and why Bill Pulte, the Nepo baby billionaire who bought his position on Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, the son of the Pulte family, Mark Pulte, the Pulte construction fortune. He's the one that's been sending out half-assed, half-baked, framed allegations of mortgage fraud. Adam Schiff, mortgage fraud. Lisa Cook, Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve, mortgage fraud. Leticia James, mortgage fraud. You've got Donald Trump ordering Lindsay Halligan through Pam Bondi to bring this prosecution. We'll throw that up on the screen. And now you've got the indictment. Now, as I said earlier, Elizabeth Yusi, who was, or is currently, at least at the time of this recording, the major crimes unit prosecutor chief in the Eastern District of Virginia, in Norfolk, Virginia. She let it be known in the last 72 hours she's not prosecuting this case, that there's no there, that there's no crime here. There's no ability for a prosecutor on probable cause to sustain a conviction through appeal. And when I read to you from the indictment, you're going to know why. And I'm going to post the indictment on Legal AF Substack so you can read it for yourself. Leticia James was a resident of Brooklyn, New York, and a borrower on a mortgage for a property in Norfolk, Virginia. Okay? She borrowed from a bank called OVM, Old Virginia Mortgage. Okay? And then Old Virginia Mortgage sold her loan to another bank. So far, where's the fraud? The fraud is, they say that when she bought the house, okay, she said to the bank, the original bank that doesn't own it anymore, that it was a second home for her, but she ended up renting it out to a family of 3. Okay. And that the bank gave her some low interest rate. They gave her 3% instead of 3.83%. And the difference is $18,000 over 30 years. Like, Leticia James was going to ruin her career and commit mortgage fraud to save 18 grand over 30. Who believes that? That's the Bill Pulte dirty fingerprints all over this with his language. I could just see it now. Paragraph 8. This misrepresentation allowed James to obtain favorable loan terms. This is not Lindsay Halligan's writing. Not available for investment properties, including a note rate of 3%, avoiding a 0.815% higher comparable investment property rate of 3.815%, resulting in approximately $17,837 in rate savings over the life of the loan. Thanks, Bill Pulte. Are you now the U.S. Attorney for Eastern District of Virginia? Count 1. By the way, that loan got sold off, and they claim that the loan, on paragraph 11, the loan was acquired by a bank that she had no relationship with, called First Savings Bank, so they couldn't have been defrauded, but they were exposed to risk associated with the misrepresented loan. What's the risk? They're holding a loan that is being paid by a borrower named the New York Attorney General Leticia James. What's the risk? It's a rental property. See, the theory is that people won't default on their first homes or maybe their second homes, but they'll default on their rental properties. I don't think that's true at all. I think if you have a rental property, you have money coming in, it's paying for the mortgage. You're less likely to default. I think that's what the studies show. Having put that aside for a minute, so the bank that currently holds the loan, this First Savings Bank, didn't make the loan. So they couldn't have been defrauded by any misrepresentations by Leticia James. And now we know from reporting that's been and evidence that's already been sent out to the media by Abby Lowell, the lawyer for Leticia James, she didn't even sign the papers. They say in the indictment on paragraph 14 that on or about August 7th, 2020, through January 2024, she executed and attempted to execute a scheme to defraud OVM Financial and First Savings Bank. I thought they said at the beginning of the indictment that OVM sold the loan to another bank. So if they sold the loan to another bank, how was she still defrauding them? And the new evidence is she didn't execute the papers. She had a niece in Virginia with the power of attorney, because I think her father lives there, who executed the papers. So she didn't even execute the papers. And there's nobody at the bank, the first bank, that's going to declare that she committed fraud, that they didn't know this was a rental property at the time. In order to commit a crime, not every bad act is a crime, by the way. Even if she did it, you have to show criminal intent, mens rea, criminal mind. What's the criminal mind? She intentionally checked the wrong box to save like $500 a year. I don't really understand if how that's the crime. Count 1, bank fraud. Count 2, false statements to a financial institution, which is really just a redress of the other. And then a forfeiture notice, you'll have to forfeit the $18,000. Now, the forfeiture notice, that is a direct retaliation against Leticia James for the $468 million disgorgement order that she got from Judge Engoron in New York against Donald Trump and all of his family. because she calculated with Judge Angoron how much they saved from cheating on their taxes and pumping up their net worth and lying on financial forms to banks. And they calculated that at $468 million. And disgorgement is like forfeiture. So of course they added a forfeiture. This indictment is not worth the paper it is written on. The judge has already been assigned to the case. That's the new reporting as well. We've got Jamar Walker. Let me tell you about Jamar Walker. Biden appointee, worked for Covington and Burling, a major firm, clerk federally, and for about 8 years was a prosecutor, wait for it, in the Eastern District of Virginia, the same prosecutor's office that's turning its back on Lindsay Halligan. Jamar Walker is great. I won't even mention, although I will, that he's African American. It has nothing to do with it. I'm just telling you that if we're getting, as free-thinking people, crappy draws in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals and Trump cases about the National Guard, where we're getting a lot of Trump, we're getting great judges picked in the Eastern District of Virginia. We got Judge Namakoff, who's the judge appointed by Biden for Comey. We got 2 Biden judges on top of these phony indictments. You couldn't ask for better. Chef's kiss to the random gods that selected these judges. What's going to happen? She already has counsel. You see she's fired up, piss and vinegar. And they're going to be filing, I think even faster than Comey, a motion to dismiss for prosecutorial abuse, for vindictive prosecution, for retaliatory prosecution, for selective prosecution. Nobody gets prosecuted for this in the Eastern District of Virginia because there's no crime there. That's why Liz Yusi let it leak out, I'm sure, that she was not recommending an indictment. She knew there was a grand jury coming up on Thursday, and she wanted this out the door first. And this will be used by Abby Lowell for Leticia James to get this indictment dismissed. The vindictive prosecution is easy. There is nobody who Donald Trump has attacked more than Leticia James. He's even gone so far as, I'm going to show you one clip of him attacking her. Let's play the clip.
I can say unrelated to that, she's a disaster for New York. She's a horrible, horrible human being. And I think she's a total crook. There's no question about it. But that's just my opinion. Pam's going to have to do what she wants. She's a very bad person. She's a very, very bad person who campaigned solely on, I'm going to get Donald Trump over and over again. She's a sick person. But that's has nothing to do with what Pam does. Pam is going to do what's right. She always does. I've known her a long time.
He's even gone so far as to call her a racial slur. No, it wasn't the N-word, but it was close. He used to call her, he didn't call her Jigaboo, but he called her Peekaboo James, which is not even a thing, except if it's close relationship and sound alike to a terrible racist comment. So, and his whole family got adjudged to be fraudsters, courtesy of Leticia James. She worked hand in glove with the New York, the Manhattan DA's office that successfully prosecuted Donald Trump and his organizations, not once, but twice, and got a 34 felony count conviction and a 19 felony count conviction against Donald Trump with Leticia James in the background. This is vindictive prosecution writ large. I'm going to continue to follow it all right here as this story continues with the arraignment on MeidasTouch and Legal AF. Take a moment, hit the subscribe button here, subscribe button on Legal AF YouTube, and come over to Legal AF, the Substack, where you will be able to read the indictment. Till my next report, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.